go on to the other side of the bus. Okay, also I see that my mud flaps on this side, and I would run back around to the other side. My mud flaps here for my engine are intact. They're securely mounted. They are not cracked or loose. Not damaged. Okay, so, and since I forgot the other side, seriously, you will run back to the other side. Anything that you forget, you would go back to the other side. I don't see any mud flaps on the back here of the fender. Okay, so here I'm gonna start.
So this side didn't have a mud flap though, right?
Doesn't. I won't
So
tell.
is it required or no?
We're gonna let it go.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna pretend that everything is intact. Okay, now I'm gonna start with my fluids. Over here, here's my coolant reservoir. It is intact. It is not cracked or leaking. It has an adequate amount of coolant. You can see here as far as my max level. My cap is on tight. Touch whatever you can. My hoses, once again, are securely mounted. I don't see any abrasions, bulges, or cuts on any of my hoses. Okay. And this is you don't have to know what intake hose these are, so I'm just going to let it go. Okay, so here's my oil dipstick. If I were to pull it out, wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it out, it would show me what the level of my oil is. If I needed, it needs to be in between add and full. If I needed to add oil, this is where I would add it with a funnel. This cap is on securely. It is not damaged. Okay, my transmission fluid here, my dipstick. Once again, I would, in order to check it, I'd pull it out, wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it out again. The best way to check transmission fluid is with the engine running in neutral or, park, I guess, right? Yeah, park. If I needed to add transmission fluid, I would add it in the same location with the funnel. Okay, here's my power steering reservoir. I can see here on the sight glass that it has an adequate amount of power steering fluid. This is mounted securely, no loose or missing bolts. The reservoir itself is not cracked or damaged, and the lid is on, or the cap is on tight. If I could not see through this reservoir, there is a dipstick underneath this cap. I could remove it. It's attached to the underside of the cap. Wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it out, and it would tell me what my level is. Okay, now my power steering reservoir, the hoses are all intact once again, not cracked or damaged, and it leads to the power steering pump, which is belt or gear driven. It's gotta be belt driven, right?
We are.
Where's Art? He's over there.
I think we're gear driven.
Yes, power
so
steering pump is gear driven.
Yes.
Must mention that, okay? My power steering pump is intact. Since I don't have to get on one of those little things and go underneath, I'm not going to, but it is not damaged. Okay. My air compressor, Monica, show me where the air compressor is on this bad boy.
The air compressor?
For the
The turbo? Oh, the turbo is this one. This one is the turbo. And the air, maybe this one is the air compressor.
Okay. I'm gonna have to ask Art on that one. Okay. But if this is it for the air compressor, it too looks like it's gear driven. But remind me to ask Art. Okay, now I'm going to go over the steering system. Here is my steering rod. It is straight. It is not cracked or damaged, and it is mounted securely by two U joints. The U joints or couplings are not damaged, and you can see that they are well lubricated. They are mounted securely. Here is my steering box or gearbox, whichever one you want to call it. It is bolted securely, not cracked or damaged, bolted to the frame here. Okay, then I have my Pitman arm. My Pitman arm is intact. It is securely mounted. It is not cracked or damaged, and it leads to the drag link. My drag link is securely mounted here by a castle nut and a cotter pin. Okay, they are not cracked, loose, or damaged. A castle nut here, and then down at the other end as well. Another castle nut and cotter pin, securely mounted, not cracked or damaged or loose. My drag link is not damaged. Now here it leads to a steering arm, which is securely mounted. It is not cracked or damaged. And then it goes to a knuckle down there. Down here is my tie rod, okay? My tie rod is straight. It is not cracked or damaged. It's mounted securely, and it goes to the steering system. It makes sure that when I'm turning, that my front tires turn at the same radius, okay? All right, now I'm going to go into the suspension system again, and the braking system. I'm just going to endeavor to go a little bit faster because I see that my time is ticking. I have my leaf springs, once again securely mounted the leaf springs securely mounted by the spring mounts up front, bolted to the frame as well as in the rear. My bushing back here is intact, not cracked or damaged. My leaf springs are not cracked or shifted. They are mounted securely to the front axle by two U-bolts, not cracked or damaged or loose. I have my shock absorber, which is straight, not cracked or leaking, mounted securely up top to the frame, and down at the bottom, mounted securely to the front axle. Okay, my brake system on this side. Once again, I have my brake chamber, which is securely mounted, no loose or missing bolts. It is not cracked. There are no holes in it. Here are my brake line and my ABS line here. They are mounted securely. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts in either my brake or my ABS line. They are secure here. Then up front here, I have my slack adjuster, which is securely mounted. It is not cracked or damaged, no loose or missing parts. And my push rod right here. Once again, if I were to chock the tire and release my brakes, my push rod would not manually move more than 1 inch. Then underneath here, if I were to move the dust cover underneath my tire, I could see that my brake linings were not excessively thin. They would not be any less than 1/4 of an inch. My brake drum is not cracked or damaged in any way. There would not be excessive grease or dust in here. The face of my tire, inside face of my tire, I do not see any abrasions, bulges, or cuts. On the tread of my tire, once again, my tread on this tire is at least 4/32 tread depth. It is evenly worn. I do not see any nails or cuts in the tread of my tire. My outside face of my tire, there are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts on it. There's no separation from the tire to the rim. My rim, there are no welds in it, no damage to it, no welds other than what came from the factory. All my lug nuts are on secure. There are no loose, missing, or cracked lug nuts. I do not see any rust trail or silver threads in between the lug nut and the bolt itself, which would indicate looseness. My hub oil seal is intact. It is not cracked or damaged. It's securely mounted is a better word. All my bolts are on tight. I do not see any fluids dripping from my hub oil seal. My valve stem is straight. It is not damaged. No air leaking. My air valve cap is on securely. If I were to check the pressure on this tire, I would use my air pressure gauge. So I would use that on the other side if I didn't say that. And my PSI normal is 105 PSI. Okay, I'm gonna close the hood. All of my latches are, I don't know how to do this, Rich did. There you go. Are secured. There's no damage to them. All the rubber is in good working condition. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the passenger door. My passenger window is secure. It's in this rubber seal. It is not cracked or damaged, as well as this little wing glass. It's also secure. My door handle is properly mounted. It is not cracked or damaged. My door opens easily, and we'll check the interior later. My steps are mounted securely. They are not cracked or damaged. You can see that all bolts are here and accounted for, not loose. Okay, is this my air tanks?
Yes.
Okay, here I have my 2 air tanks. You can see that they are securely mounted, securely bolted. They are not dented or damaged. I do not hear any air leaking. All of my hoses are securely attached, and they are tied securely and not damaged. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts in any of my hoses. Okay. This sure is different than school bus. Is this my exhaust system?
Yes.
Okay. My exhaust system is bolted securely to the frame. It is not cracked or damaged. On my exhaust system, it is straight up there, and I don't see any carbon soot patterns which would indicate a leak. Okay, and once again, it's all mounted securely. My frame, once again, is straight, mounted securely, bolted, not damaged in any way. Under here, this is my drive shaft. It is straight, it is mounted securely. It is not damaged. My U-joints are secure and mounted and securely bolted in all locations. My cross members, I don't know if these are cross members or not. Okay, I don't think they are. Okay, my drive shaft leads back into my rear differential and my rear axle. It is securely mounted. My rear axle is not cracked or damaged. It is mounted securely. Okay, now I'm going to go into my suspension system once again. Here is my rear leaf spring. It is not cracked or shifted. You can see that it is mounted securely to the frame by the spring mounts. No loose or missing bolts. Not cracked or damaged. Here's my bushing here. And this goes back to my rear axle. Bolted securely there. Back behind my rear axle is my shock absorber. It is mounted to my frame up top and to the bottom to the rear axle. My shock absorber is straight. It is not cracked or leaking. Now my brake system. Here's my brake chamber back here. It is securely mounted. It also houses my spring brake. It is mounted securely. I can see here that my brake line and my ABS line are securely mounted. I don't see any abrasions, bulges, or cuts on my brake lines, therefore no leaking. I have my slack adjuster and push rod back here on this side somewhere. And they are not cracked or damaged. The slack adjuster is securely mounted. The push rod, if I were to chock the tires and release my brakes, once again, the push rod would not move more than 1 inch. Okay, on my duals, I can see that they are evenly spaced. There's no debris in between my duals. And I forgot as far as the inside of the brakes back here, as far as if I were to move the dust cover, I would see that the brake linings would not be excessively thin. They would not be any more than there'd be no less than 1/4 of an inch. No debris or grease in there, and my brake shoes would not be cracked or damaged. Okay, so now my tires. I see inside here on my face, there's no face of this tire, and this tire. Wait, there's only 2. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts on any of the faces of my tires. My tread depth is at least 2/32 on my duals. They are evenly worn. No nails. Rocks don't count. And here I can see that my mud flaps here are securely mounted. No loose or missing parts, and my mud flaps are not cracked or damaged, and they are mounted securely. Okay. Back here, once again, I don't, on the outside face of my tire, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. There's no separation between my tire and my rim. My rim has no cracks, no illegal welds, nothing but what came from the factory. And you can call this your hub oil seal as well, or your rear axle seal, okay? But here all my lug nuts are securely mounted. They are not cracked, loose, or missing any of them. And I don't see any rust trails or silver threads, which would indicate a looseness on my lug nuts. My hub oil seal or rear axle seal is securely mounted. All of my bolts are mounted securely. No loose or missing bolts. I don't see any leaking of any fluids, which would indicate looseness here. Here I have my valve stem for my outside tire. It is straight with the metal cap on it. And on my inside tire, here's my valve stem with the metal cap on it. And if I needed to check the pressure of my tires, I would use an air pressure gauge. And once again, the air pressure should read 105 psi. Monica, you feel free to help me. Okay, more on the suspension system. Yay. Okay, here, these are called airbags, or you can call them air bellows. Can y'all see here? This is for the rear suspension ride, also part of the suspension system. You can see here that they're mounted securely to the frame up top, and down at the bottom they're securely mounted. They are fully inflated. I don't see any cracks or leaks in them. Alright, now to the rear of the truck, I have, oh shoot, okay, I forgot my reflectors. Okay, I have 2 amber reflectors up front, and behind the dual is my red reflector. In fact, not damaged. stuck on securely. Okay. The rear of my truck, I've got my 5 rear red clearance lights, all intact, not cracked or damaged, no loose or missing parts. I've got my brake lights down here, red in color, intact. I have my 2 brake lights. I have my, oh my God, license plate, thank you, securely bolted. And a license plate light, which is white in color, intact, not cracked or damaged, and it is working properly. I have rear reflectors here, 2 rear reflectors here as well. Monica, I don't know if for DPS if you have to operate the lift.
No.
Good, excellent.
You just mentioned it.
I mentioned it. I mentioned that, I would check my lift to make sure it's properly working, but they did not actually make me do it.
Good. Okay. It is properly working and it is secured and tightly secured by the chain. Okay. Now on this side, did they ask what's different?
For me, she didn't say anything. I just went through the whole truck
Okay.
because I had the whole truck.
All right. And that's another. I'll go over that in a minute. Okay. So then once again, I already covered my drive shaft and my hootenanny exhaust system on the other side. That's the way I like to do it. My 2 duals, once I can see, and my mud flap. Thank you. Okay, my duals are securely. Oh my God, brain fart. There's no debris in between my duals. My duals are evenly spaced. They are at least 2/32 in tread depth, evenly worn. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts on the face of my tire here or the inside of any of those tires. There's no gap in between my tire and my rim. I feel like I've said this before. Okay, no illegal welds on my rim. Just the weld that comes from the factory. No dents or cracks in it. All my lug nuts are intact. All secure. No cracks, damage, or loose or missing ones. No rust trails or silver threads, which would indicate looseness. My hub oil seal is intact. There's no crack or damage. All my bolts are in place. There's no leaking. My valve stems are also straight with metal caps on them from an interior tire back here. If I needed to check the tire pressure, I'd use an air pressure gauge and it would read in between at 105.
You have to touch the ball all the time.
If you have the whole exterior, for buses, what they do for us is on this side, they say what's different. Okay? So I don't know if they do that for the trucks. If they don't, make sure that you practice and get within that hour. You can go like up to 45 minutes after you do your air brake test and have enough, 10 minutes really, have enough time to do the basic skills as well. Okay? Because you've got to get it done within an hour or they consider that a fail. And then you get to come back and do it again. Okay?
So in 1 hour you had to do the walk inspection and the brake and the driving?
Not the driving,
basic
the
skills
basic
here.
skills.
Okay? And then you have 1 more hour to do on the road where you do stop signs, traffic lights, turns, your emergency stop, and your railroad crossing. Okay? So I would cover the suspension system. I'm sorry, I'm so tired of talking. I haven't
No, you're
talked
good.
this much
No,
in
fine.
2.5 months.
Very
Okay. Okay, I'm thinking this is my fuel tank.
Yes.
It is securely mounted. I do not see or smell any fuel leakage. My cap is on securely. This is is this your DEF?
Yeah.
Sweet Jesus. This is my diesel exhaust fuel, right? Okay. And I normally don't touch it because there's all this corrosion on it. So if I have cancer on this hand, I'll know that it happened at this time. No, I'm kidding. The cap is on tight. It too is securely mounted. No loose or missing parts. All my hoses are intact. Okay, my steps are securely bolted. They are not loose, bent, or damaged. My handle for my driver's side is intact. No loose or missing parts. I have seen where the CDL rent trucks have failed because one of the handles has been loose. My side mirrors on my driver's side are intact. No cracked or loose missing glass, and they are clean from my view. Okay, and then at this time I would go in the truck and start it and do the interior inspection. I feel like my hands are dirty. Oh wait, this will take care of it. My handle, right, handrail is securely mounted. It is not cracked or damaged. It is bolted securely. I can see that my driver's seat is securely bolted to the floor. It is not loose or damaged in any way, as well as my passenger seat, which of course I would touch and do that as well. I have not done the air brake test on a truck ever, but I would just go ahead and get in here, and I would, of course, your EPS examiner would get in on the other side, and we're going to pretend I have this adjusted. Put your seatbelt on first, okay? Just show them that you're all about safety. Don't be like me in my car. My seatbelt securely attaches and is mounted in 3 places, locks and latches. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to do a safe start of my vehicle. Before I turn it on,
backyard, remember Sprouts, and it's time to turn that backyard into the barbecue hot spots. And don't forget about all those craveable summer flavors.
okay, we just got to turn it off. Okay, there we go. Okay, now you see when I first turned it on my my indicator lights up here on top, that they all came on, and my ABS light came on and went off. Must say, my ABS ABS is working properly. Now I'll start the engine, and I'm going to check all my gauges as well as my light switches. Okay, so over here I can see that my DEF has an adequate amount of fluid. It reads at just under a half a tank. My water pressure right now, since the engine is cold, is at 140 degrees. Normal range will go up to 195, okay, or 200. My oil pressure right now is reading about 32 psi. Normal range is in between 40 and 60. In the book it says 35 and 65. Okay. My tachometer right now is reading at about 800 RPMs. When I'm driving, of course, it will increase. My speedometer is reading at 0, which is proper. When I'm driving, of course, it will increase at my speed. My altimeter, or my voltmeter, is reading at about 14 3/4, which is within the normal range. It shows that my battery and all my electrical system is working properly. My 2 air tanks are reading at 125 psi, which they are full. My fuel gauge is reading just over a half a tank. I have an adequate amount of fuel. Right now my vehicle is in neutral. Okay, there it is, neutral. Okay, And of course, if I were to step on the brake, move it into reverse, I can hear the backup lights. Neutral, drive, fourth, second, first. It all moves smoothly back. Okay. My brake pedal is securely mounted. I don't see any loose or missing parts. The tread on my brake pedal is has a proper amount of tread, as well as my accelerator pedal. It is securely mounted, not damaged. I don't see any parts. My park brake knob is securely mounted. It is not loose or damaged in any way. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go over my turn signals and my lights. Here I have my left turn signal, which is indicated here. And if I were to get out of the vehicle, I could see that it's working properly in front as well as in rear. I didn't see the turn signals back there. They got to be back there. Mention them. I'm sorry. I just have to bring them. Okay. My turn signals are working properly. My right turn signal here, indicated here, working outside there. I've got my headlight switch and my high beams, low beams. That also operates my clearance lights. I have my hazard lights or four-way flashers, which operate, I can see they're indicated here. They operate in front as well as in the rear. I have a fire extinguisher here, securely mounted. It is not damaged, and it is rated, dated, and fully charged. Okay? So, rated. So I don't see the little date tag on it. See if we can get some of my cabin's clean. Once again, and my dashboard is also clear better. Doing the interior inspection, thank you. The windshield is intact. It is not cracked or damaged. It is nice and clean. My inspection sticker is up to date. I have no illegal stickers, nor do I have any paperwork or anything on the dash which would distract me from driving. My AC and my heater switches are here, and of course Monica will show you how to use them. You will operate them on and off for the DPS examiner as well. Do not have your radio on when you're doing the inspection, okay? Everything up here is intact, which is good. I don't believe you have to go over here. You will go over your inside dome light. It's in its lens. It's not cracked or damaged, and it is white in color and working properly.
And the glass in the back.
Huh?
The glass in the back too.
Oh, this glass in the back. Here you can see that my rear windshield or glass is securely mounted in its rubber gasket, which is not cracked or loose, which would give you exhaust fumes if it were. And it is not damaged, and it is clean except for that one spot or spider. Okay. Nothing on my floor. Window crank up and down both my sides. Huh?
Triangles.
Oh yes, thank you.
And Flair's emergency kit.
Okay, so I do have my first aid kit, which is down here. I will pull it out, so unless it's securely mounted. Okay, it is equipped with all minor emergency first aid materials. You don't have to say 24 bandages. Okay, I'm not going to get out and count them. Okay, my reflective triangles are mounted securely. If there is a way that you can pull them out and show the examiner, it's what I do. show them I had 3 emergency triangles or reflectors, triangles, and I don't open them up or anything, but do that for your people, show them how to open them up and set them securely if you ever have a breakdown in your truck. Thank you for that. Okay, and then at this time I will do the air brake test. Do you want me to do it? Okay. All right. Yeah. Come on up here. There's room up here if anybody wants to sit. My passenger seatbelts are also intact, not damaged. Let me just toss this out here. Okay. So when I turn the key on, once again, I notice that all my indicator lights are on. This is when I normally say the thing about the ABS light. And my ABS light came on and went off, which says my ABS light is working, ABS system is working correctly. Then I'm going to start my truck. I'm going to see that my PSI is in between 100 and 125. Go ahead and rev it up a little bit for the DPS examiner. Okay, if you want to wait for the governor to cut off to say that your tanks are full, you can. Forgot to chuck my tire. No, I'm going to put it in the front on the passenger side.
Driver's side or passenger?
Driver's side. Over here. I'm sorry. I'm messed up. It's Monday. It's the 1st of June. I'm not used to working in June.
She's saying that in the conversation.
That's all that on there.
It's for my use. It's for my use only.
Okay, good. Okay. So I got back in my truck. Put my seatbelt on. Okay. So I would have chalked my tires first. Thank you, sir. Okay. ABS light came on. All my indicator lights came on. And I'm going to wait for my glow plug, when that clicking stops and all these go off, then I can go ahead and start my vehicle, especially when that little engine emblem comes on. Okay. My air pressure is in between 100 and 125 psi. Okay, and then I will, it's been so long since I've done this, I can turn the key engine off, key on, and release my park brake. Okay, I should lose no more than 2 psi within 1 minute. You'll time a minute. If you don't have a watch, you can count in your head to 55. Okay. After that minute, then I will step on the brake pedal and hold it firmly. I should lose no more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Okay, these are New York minutes, or I don't want to wait a minute. But for DPS you will. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for the low pressure warning buzzer, which is kind of there. It'll come on around 60 psi. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to continue to press and release on my brake pedal until my park brake comes out or engages. There it is, in between 20 and 40 psi. Okay. My truck is locked. It will not move at all. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and build up the air pressure back up to 100 and 125 psi. Go ahead and hit the accelerator to about 15 RPM. Please don't go over that. And then anybody else in your neighborhood is expecting air go and retrieve my chocks.
I got it. I get it.
Okay.
You have to get out.
Oh, he's there.
Right, he left that paper up there. He wants to break.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Oh, you coming over here, man?
Now, see, I'm used to doing it on the passenger side. I chalk the tires on the passenger side. Okay, but see, that's because I'm in a school bus and we don't have this heavy door here. And since your chocks are over there, you can do it whichever side you want. It's all good.
Any side?
Any side. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the pull and tug after I start my bus truck, and then I'm going to drive a little bit, and I'm going to test. So I'm going to test my parking brake first, and then I'm going to test my service brake. Okay.